Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Moms Do. I'm Carly.
Colette. Kaylee.
And we have a surprise for you.
We do?
Yes.
What's the
I
surprise?
cannot handle a surprise right now. I'll fall out of my chair.
There's no surprises, I don't know. Okay. My watch is vibrating, and I was like, who's calling me? That was a surprise. Anyways, okay. The Moms Do. You guys, what are your updates?
Still like, is there a surprise?
Carly,
What
I'm
is
sorry.
it?
I just
Are
know
you pregnant?
everyone likes
Are you
surprises. No.
Dang it.
Everyone likes surprises, so I wanted to start off like getting you
Surprise!
You got them hooked. They're hooked.
on that note. What are your updates?
Layla's been sick and teething, and we haven't been sleeping. And that is like as far as my brain can like go in time. And
This
think
stage is hard. It's like this constant loop of them teething cold,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't stop.
You know what? It has made me really grateful. I'm so tired, but I'm so grateful that she's such a good baby. Because
she's chill.
all you mamas whose babies are like colicky, and some babies just cry. Braylee cried a lot. And my heart has just went out to you because I'm so tired. Like, so good job. Just know that I think that you're doing a good job. I'm so tired. You know what's really funny? I went to sleep watching a show, like a doctor show, a hospital show, and I was dreaming that one of the attendees was telling me that it's okay to let your baby cry. It's a symptom that will wear off. And so I was letting Layla cry longer than I probably should have, because in my dream it was like real. I was like, she has to sleep off this symptom. And then I was like, Kaylee, get your baby. It was so weird. Have you ever done that though? Like your dreams are like, it's all connected and you're like, what's happening right now?
I used
Like,
to
is this
dream
real?
that I would like go to like Disneyland or like a theme park, and I was having so much fun in my dream. But I'm like, no, this is real. It's not a dream, but I knew it was a dream. That's kind of not the same thing.
I used to dream that I would get out of bed to go pee and then pee the bed.
Oh, that's the we won't tell anybody.
When I was little, only like twice.
It was like last week. Stopped happening last year.
TMI here on the Moms Do.
We've all done it.
I'm just really tired. But
Have you peed the bed lately?
Well, there was this morning. No. Updates. Well, I guess ours isn't as exciting either, but Avia hurt herself quite badly. She was doing some stunts at cheerleading and landed just wrong. At first I was like, did they drop you? And I was like,
Braylee, were you her base?
who dropped you? But no, they landed like normal, but she just hit so hard, rolled her ankle, and Braylee and Adria brought her to the car, and it was just like, okay, what happened? Because she's always so tough. You know Avia, she's just a tough little cookie, and she was crying so much, saying that it hurt so much. So I was like, we have to go to the immediate care right now because she's never like that.
Yeah.
So we did, and sure enough, she has a tiny fracture. And so it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks before she can do anything with that.
She's going to have to brace it from here on out because that ankle's going to be weak. That's how it was with my wrist. I just had a tape from the first time I hurt my wrist. That's what I texted you. Like, here's the first injury of many, especially in cheerleading.
Yes, and it's so hard. But I was thinking about it, and I think as a parent, it's so hard to watch your kids go through stuff like that. But also, it's a good learning experience too. Yeah. So I tried to sit her down and be like, okay, well, this is an opportunity for you to look at other hobbies, other things that you can do, like you can work on your music, or you can, read more, or something that, can still fill that part of you that you want to create and be, be yourself.
Yeah, you're a good
so
mom.
it just breaks my heart because she loves what she does so much, and now she has to just sit on the sidelines and watch.
That was the worst, when you would just sit and watch your team do what you've worked so hard for, and you're like, this sucks. That happened to me in college. I got dropped on my head. That explains a lot. And we went to an away game, and it was like the closest away game that all my family could be at. It was in Logan at Utah State, and everybody came to watch me cheer, and I was hurt, and I was like, this sucks. But there is, like you said, there's a silver lining. You focus on other things, and she'll get better. We'll do some good rehab. She's gonna be fine. She can bounce back stronger.
Yes.
No fun. I'm just ready for it to be spring. It's been the weirdest winter here in Idaho. It's like there's been no snow, and I know that people want snow, want it to keep on, but it's not happening. So I'm like, it's like that weird transition. Like, do you feel like you've been a little depressed? Am I the only one? I just January was a funk for me.
Always, every year. Winter
like
blues.
a little bit of a funk.
They always hit me.
Yeah, I'm like, Carly, get it together. Funky town.
It's like January. It's funny because the beginning of January is like, yeah, New Year's goals, here we go. And then mid-January, like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Why?
Life sucks.
Why did I say I would not eat
want a
chocolate?
hermit. Like, I just want to be a hermit and just
Isn't that weird?
And then I want to online shop. And
Yeah.
Kaylee's facials.
What happens?
Speaking of being a hermit, what happens when you're a hermit? I feel like you tend to be on your phone more. And this is something I wanted to talk about. And I know we probably have covered this topic in a different light so many times.
Many times, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this thing a lot. But I wanted to talk to you guys today about like being on social media and as an influencer, even not as an influencer, having any kind of a following, friends, family, whatever, and feeling like you need to appear to be a certain way. And I only wanted to talk about this because I know that like in several different times in my life I could relate to things I'd want to give myself advice for. But like, how do you guys feel about social media and how it can make people's lives look to appear to like be perfect or beautiful or really polished or put together? And if you have thoughts on that.
I think it's hard as an influencer because I've noticed like my followers are dropping. And so then as an influencer, it's like, okay, what do they want from me? What do I need prettier pictures? Do I need this? Do I need that? Do I need real pictures? And I think at the end of the day, this has just been something on my mind this month, January.
We're in February, it's okay.
February.
We're close.
It's June, don't tell her. It's June. She's tired.
I just think that you have to stay true to who you are.
Yeah.
And I think like if you are in different places, I watched a video from Sadie that was on the Mom's View, and she was talking about, you know, a lot of people were talking in Utah about influencers photoshopping pictures, and she just said, like, who are we to tear this person down for doing that?
Like to tear them down for
Photoshopping
She said something like,
yeah.
what if this girl wants a bigger booty and she photoshops her booty to look bigger?
Right.
Who are we to tear them down?
Yeah.
And I agree with that.
I was having this conversation with you guys, we were talking about this, but I think that if somebody feels the need to edit a photo, and I'm only saying this because I've seen myself do this a million times, I think it says more about the person wanting to edit their photo, bigger or smaller, than it actually does for the people looking at the photo. And I think if you're in a good place in your life and you're in a healthy mindset, looking at photos and people's life and what they're choosing to post, it has to be a reflection of coming from them, and it shouldn't in any way reflect on your feelings. But I think the danger with social media is subconsciously we don't realize what we're constantly feeding our eyeballs and our hearts and our minds all the time. And so maybe subconsciously you're not even realizing in your feed that you're looking at these beautiful women that are like, you know, just you're comparing yourself perfect.
Right.
But what you have to do, like you said at the end of the day, is like turn off your phone, step back, and realize that you're perfect the way you are and you need to love yourself. And that's not always easy because then you have those comments that say, you look pregnant, you look fat. So where do you find that balance, you know?
You know, I think it's really hard. And I've struggled with this a lot lately because, you know, I posted a couple videos earlier, well, at the end of 2017, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I was so like ready to go, you know, and then as soon as I put a couple videos out, I was like, oh my gosh, I have days, like right now I feel like my life is, I mean, I want to be real, right? I want to be real, but I feel like I have days where I'm just like, I'm on top of the world, and I feel so good about the direction my life's going, and like just my own life learning and just my own self-image and things I feel like are improving. But then as soon as I go to post something, it all comes back.
Right.
Like I suck back up into my little hole, and I'm like, nope, I'm going back in. I'm not coming out.
Is it, do you think, from the comments and the feedback?
It is, because this is what I want, and like I envision myself, I want to be authentic enough that I can just be who I am and see the comments, and like I'm scrolling through and I see a girl with really nice booty who's adjusted herself in the picture. It's like, I want to be able to look at that person and be like, you know what, good for her. I love her. I'm grateful that she can be who she is. And I want to be able to look at myself and be, you know, because a lot of times we'll look at people and be like, oh, they look so good. And then we look at ourselves and we're like, oh my gosh, I really should have like had better lighting. I should have done this. I want to be able to look at myself and say, that was perfect. Good job, Colette.
Yeah.
You know, like, no matter what it looks like.
Right.
And there's been so many times where like I don't have makeup on. I'm like, I just want to post real quick, and then I don't, because I'm like, oh, they're gonna tell me I look bad, or they're gonna ask me questions about something I don't want to talk about, or you know, it's just like I just clam up, and I think I'm living my life in a way that I'm that's for other people, you know, and I want to be able to make that shift to I'm doing this for me and only for me. And no matter what you say about it, it's only for me. And I think that's exactly right. Like the way that our channels and our social media will be successful is just a reflection of who we are. And even if it's edited, if we want to edit it, that's fine. Like it's just who we are and what we want to put out there.
Right. I mean, I just think if you stay true to who you are, you're okay through the ups and downs. Like, because you're always this balance through the ups and downs. You're just still like just you. But I also think that changes too. So,
how do you guys feel about vulnerability though? Like, and what you should and shouldn't share, and are we required to share? Because I think the number one comment we get as YouTubers or daily vloggers, like, well, you chose to put your life out there, so we need to know, we need to be filled in. How do you guys feel about that?
I thought a lot about this. There was a lot, like I mentioned, going on in Utah about like bloggers being real, influencers being real. And there were literally people on Instagram showing the dirty clothes in their laundry rooms because they felt like,
oh crap, I gotta be real.
They take these beautiful pictures and they needed to show this part of their life that isn't beautiful.
They felt like they needed to.
And it made me feel sad for them because I was like, who are we to tell someone they need to literally air their dirty laundry? Literally, they're showing their dirty laundry. And for me, like, my house is usually dirty and I vlog it and it's okay. And I know and I see comments and it's fine. Like, that's who I am. But a few years ago, that would have been a really scary thing for me, and I would have been way too vulnerable, and it would have been hurtful. And I think that it's such a personal journey to share and to be vulnerable, and we should never force someone to be more real or to do something different. And that's what I didn't understand. I know that Instagram can be like really crazy, and we can look at it and we can be down on ourselves, but that is when you need to take a step back and think like, where am I at right now? And I mentioned before that I had to unfollow people, and I actually got a lot of like kind of hate in the comments. Like, I can't believe Kaylee had to unfollow that person. Like,
I think that's a healthy decision.
It wasn't anything to do with her, the person that I unfollowed. It was me. It was like, I was in a bad place. I was depressed. I didn't like how I looked, and I was in a bad place. I now follow these people, and I think they're amazing because I'm in a better place. So I just think instead of expecting these influencers to stop posting beautiful pictures and to air their dirty laundry, maybe just unfollow them. Right. If you're not happy.
Because really that's a reflection on you. Like if you're typing in that, you know, anything hateful towards them or anything, that's a reflection on what's going on inside of you. Like you need to pay attention to that. That's really hard.
The hardest thing with the internet is I feel like it can be such a beautiful, it was invented to connect people, to pull us together, for people across the world to connect with these moms here in Idaho who maybe all feel and think the same about a lot of topics. But that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? That this invention can connect so many people at so many points in different points in their lives, where like there have been times where I really needed that. I needed a friend on the internet or someone to talk to. But I just feel like at the end of the day, the more that I really like zoom in on this topic and think about it, I think we just live in this world where all we want to do is point fingers. You're posting too many pretty pictures. You're being too vulnerable. You get too much makeup. You do too much makeup stuff. Like, I feel like we're so caught up in focusing on other people and what they need to fix and what they need to change and who they need to be, that it's like at the end of the day, we need to like stay in your own lane, bro. That's, I mean, that's like the unclassy way of to say it, but really isn't that what it's about? Like, if someone else is affecting your life and the way you feel about social media and everything that's going on, shouldn't that say something about you? And that's what I think the whole thing for me really like brought attention. I don't even know how to say it. For me, the whole moral of Instagram and looking perfect and was just focus on yourself. And if you're realizing that it's anything in your life isn't a positive influence and it's making you feel compared to or negative or depressed, then you probably should change that thing.
Right.
And it could be something as simple as a gym you're going to or the shoes you're wearing or whatever. But I think when you're in a healthy place, you can consciously know what's going to make your day better and more positive and what's not going to.
Right.
And I think you decide what you want to show. If you feel like maybe I do need to be more real, then be more real. But that doesn't mean you have to show.
But why is it up to Colette how real Kaylee's being?
Yeah.
Are you the real police?
Yeah,
Are you the vulnerability police?
Because I know I've got a lot of it.
I won't show you mine. I'll spare you the dirty details of my laundry room.
I think we were having a really good conversation. We were actually like, it wasn't when we were even filming, but we were talking about social media and how this whole thing started. And I guess the whole thing had started because a blogger, somebody had thought she had stretched a picture and that upset them because they were saying that, you know, social media is kind of this world where perfectionism is almost a disease. And I feel like, while that's true, keeping up with the Joneses has always kind of been a thing, whether it's social media or your neighbor getting a brand new car or building a new fence. It's, you know, comparison is a natural thing we've done our entire lives without even realizing it. And I think that when we were having that conversation, it's just healthy at the end of the day just to really focus on you and the people you love, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, it's kind of crazy because you say how we're connected. This has connected us, but it's also made it so much easier to connect us with random strangers who have and there's always going to be someone with a bigger, prettier house, or who's skinnier or who's prettier. There's always going to be that. And now we see it we see it like so many images on our phone just like so quickly.
Subconsciously, we're so
and we're just comparing ourselves
it.
like constantly. So I had to actually put my phone away because it was making me crazy. I was like, am I being real? Should she have to be real? And I was on Instagram nonstop, and I saw how that was affecting my life, because normally I'm like, I don't know where my phone is. And I'll get on there and I'll scroll through and I'll look at pictures, but it's not a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And I was on there so much that I saw such a big difference in my life, and I was more snappy with my kids. I was more snappy with Casey, and I was like, oh shoot, hello, I need to take a step away from this. What am I doing to myself? But it can be so addicting.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to be very self-reflective. Like, I've noticed that with myself when I'm having stressful days. Sometimes I pick it up as
to kind of numb.
Yeah, it's as an addiction basically.
Or even habitual, you don't even realize that you're just like, what am I even looking at right now?
Like some days I've noticed how many times did I pick up my phone today?
Yeah.
8,000. And you have to it really, all of it comes down to being self-reflective, being able to look at yourself and be like, okay, why am I attacking this person? Or why do I feel so bad about myself by looking at this picture of this girl? Or, what is going inside? What is going on inside of me? I've noticed another thing lately that I feel like when I will hit times where I'm just I hate the whole world, and I'm so mad, and it's I'm going through Instagram and I'm just and then I have times where I'm just oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for everyone, and I'm look, we're this big community of people that are just helping each other and sharing our lives, and it actually goes up and down daily sometimes.
Yeah.
And we have to be aware of ourselves enough to be okay, today the internet is not healthy for me. I need to take care of myself. I need to do something different to get out of my head that's healthy, because it is an addiction. You have to treat it like an addiction sometimes.
Right.
Am I looking at this because I want to connect, or am I looking at this because I need to get out of my head? And maybe there's a better way for me to do that.
Yeah. I love how we were talking about the internet can really connect you, but I feel while we're all so connected, we're actually really disconnected. We need more belly-to-belly, face-to-face connection, because it's so easy to say something hurtful on a comment or say something maybe passive-aggressive, but if you were to go to lunch with that person, you would be like, you're such a slut. I don't like that top you're wearing. Seriously.
Whenever you say belly-to-belly, I always picture me and Casey.
What?
Having a conversation with our
You
bellies.
need to be belly to belly.
Every time you say belly to belly, I think of that.
How often do you say belly to belly?
I think I picked it up from Jackson because if we ever fight, he makes me do uninterrupted eye contact, which I freaking hate when we're fighting. And I always feel like I'm
counselor.
staring at him like this, belly to belly, and I want to poke out my belly. I'm like, are you happy now? Is this what you want from me?
I think maybe that's why I think I've heard you say it on the Moms View before, and then maybe just talking when we're talking about
belly to
stuff like
belly.
this. And I always just picture.
I should say 6-pack to 6-pack because really,
That's what it is.
our belly's full. Proud of those bellies. But I don't know, there's so much with this conversation where it can go in so many different directions. And while I love the intentions behind the movement, that we all should maybe be a little more vulnerable, even though it's terrifying. And I feel like we've had this conversation multiple times. Anytime that you decide to be vulnerable and share something that's not easy, you're always going to get backlash, and it's not going to be fun to hear it. But I think it was Oprah said, like, how can you be living your most brave life and not get any negative feedback from it?
That's so true.
And that's not quote for quote, but basically that's the idea. And it's like, it's true. Like, you can live within this idea of perfection and how you should be and how you should appear, but are you really living your best life? And if you are that girl, and I have been that girl, and I will say that 100% who's edited her photos because I felt like, oh, someone's going to say I look pregnant or I look too fat. Like, I realized it's because I wasn't in a healthy place in my life. And if you are that person to call that girl out that already is having a hard time, like, just think how much worse it's actually doing for her than it really is doing for you, you know? And I just think we all need to be a little more kind and stay in our own lane. Why is it anyone's business if you want to edit or not edit your photos, you know?
Yeah. And I think as far as like what we share on our YouTube videos, like we have vlogged and we have shared a lot of things, but we've also kept things private because some things aren't ours to share.
Yeah.
Like, there have been times that I haven't shared things going on in my family because they weren't mine to talk about.
Right.
I waited until that person was ready. Or even with my kids, like, things going on with my kids, they're not for me to talk about or to share. And maybe, like, that's a private thing that's going on right now. And when my child is older and they want to mention that they did something, then we'll talk about it then. But there are also things that just shouldn't and don't have to be talked about.
This made me think of Kylie Jenner and how she kept her pregnancy a secret. And while I don't really love the Kardashians, I really respected that decision for her. And I thought that what she wrote was so beautiful about that just something was really sacred to her, and she really she really wanted that time with her daughter and just a time to like think about being a mom. And I was like, I really respect that.
And she didn't want the baby to feel like all the stresses because they are. Like, that would be
I can't imagine.
I can only imagine what that call.
Anyways, so much fillers. Do you guys often feel that sometimes, for me, I felt sometimes like the internet was a crutch. Like, I really wanted to share something because it felt good to talk it out loud and to put it out there and like, but I yet in the place I was at in my life, I didn't know how I really felt about it or how I was going to handle it. And I think sometimes it makes, when you do decide to speak about something or post about it, it almost makes it sound like you're coming from this place of you know what you're talking about, or you're an expert, or you know a lot about this. And so I think that it is hard to be completely transparent and vulnerable, because even when you're like kind of deciding how you feel about something as simple as, should I give Elliot cow's milk or not? Like, I got so much incredible good and bad feedback. I was like, wow, you know.
Do you feel like it was helpful?
Yeah, it was helpful, but I think that as an influencer, when you do decide to open up your heart and you decide to be vulnerable, maybe it appears to the world that you're coming from a place of like, I know all about this topic. When you're just trying to share your feelings, and that can be really, the more you do it and the more bad like feedback you get, the more you're kind of like, okay, I'm not going to be so vulnerable anymore. I got it.
Questions anymore.
You know?
Yeah. Totally. And I feel like because it can trigger so much judgment. It can trigger so much insecurity in other people, and then they let you know about it in the comments. It's so hard. And when you're in a healthy place, then maybe you can take that with a grain of salt, but when you're not, then it can be really detrimental at the same time.
For our kids too, are you guys worried about your kids on social media?
Yes.
And
I don't even want my kids to have like anything until they're like 18. I know. I really don't.
It's
a
really
scary
hard.
world.
I know, my kids are like, please can I have this? And I'm like, no.
I know.
Like,
I
what's
promise
on
you
there.
Yeah.
No good things.
But it's hard because I know I can't protect them forever. I want to just teach them, like, this is a bigger responsibility than you can imagine. It's not just a privilege. It's a huge responsibility. You have to check yourself all the time with social media.
Yeah.
It's not just a game.
I've just been hearing the craziest things. Like, I mean, kids eating Tide Pods. It was like when I was in high school, it was like the thing was to do the eraser burn, where you erase something on your paper and then you burn it on your arm.
No, I erased my skin off. Don't tell
Or
Braylee.
like people would like staple you, or
Don't watch this, Braylee. Turn it off.
I mean, I just feel like in any form, okay, social media wasn't around when I was in high school, but we're all influenced by our environment. And I think as a mom, it's just your job to educate your kids and to give them the proper tools that they're going to need, and especially with social media. And that's, for me, like hearing this big controversy about being vulnerable versus not, being a perfectionist and not, just really made me think about like, where am I at in my life? If Cooper were getting out on my social media, what would he think of me? And would I be a good example for him? You know?
I think what's really scary for watching your kids do social media is because you know that, you know the days when you're not in a healthy place. But like, they're just developing and they're just learning who they are. So to have that influence of, I don't know, just all the social media bombarded them. It's like, that makes it even harder to kind of figure out who you are.
Yeah.
Because you do feel like you have to put up, you know, like, oh, I'm going to take a selfie, and I want to make sure it
You
looks
can
this
definitely
perfect.
see like the trends in
Yeah.
kids, and it's like cool to be grainy and grungy and take a photo this way. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like this style. I feel like that becomes popular in different. I don't know.
You know what's interesting is I was so scared to have a teenager. I was so scared for Braylee to be older, and now I'm developing this new relationship with her that I love, and we are very open and honest, and I feel like I learned so much from her. It's kind of like nowadays you can give a 2-year-old an iPad and they can just work it. Children understand this world that they're growing up in.
Yeah.
And I do think it's scary, but I also think that they're adapting to it. They know what's real and they know what's not real. And just having conversations with Braylee, I'm like, you know, like when you look through Pinterest or you look through Instagram, you know that this stuff isn't real. And she's like, well, yeah. You know, so I find a little bit of comfort in that. I know that it's scary, and I know that it is my job to keep having those conversations, but I also think that our kids are so incredible, and they're adapting, and they're
give them more-
learning,
yeah.
and I just see teenagers and kids so differently now having one. Like, you guys are really awesome.
Almost like they were born for
together.
this time, right?
Yeah, they really were born for this time. It's incredible, but
I was also thinking that when we do social media, I think it's important for us to remember who, you know, we want to be real, but also what do we want to portray? Like, you don't have to share everything. You don't have to feel like if your business is this beautiful photography thing, then share your photography and be proud of it. Like, you don't have to do what the people in the comments say that you have to do, or even what yourself, like sometimes you think, oh, maybe I should do this because they're doing that. But no, you do you. You know,
You do you, boo-boo.
You set your intentions for what you want. And that's the only thing that matters.
Right. This other blogger was kind of talking about this topic, and she's like, what are people these days, the intention police? Like, that's so true. And I think that sometimes through the internet, as connected as we feel, you have to remember there's a big disconnect, and you don't know someone's intentions. Because how many times have you read a text, even a text that says, okay? You could take that as
every single
okay,
time.
or okay.
Sure.
Yeah, or if I text somebody this big long thing and they say, yup, sure, I'm like, they're mad, they're so pissed at me. Or if they don't include an
send a
emoji.
smiley face.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, they hate me. Yep, sure.
So much can be lost in this form of
in
communication.
translation of communication. As much as we're communicating, there's so much that we're not saying. And I think I love that you said intentions. You just have to give people the benefit of the doubt, because it's almost like, do you want to just be an angry troll all the time?
Right.
And just be walking around being like, you didn't post your laundry. You didn't suck your legs in.
Suck your legs in?
Whatever.
My legs in.
I don't know what I'm saying.
But it's true, like if you got your intentions in line, like if you read a hateful comment, then you're like, no, because that's not how I feel about myself. Like, you can be strong in who you are if you know your own intentions.
Right.
And theirs don't really matter.
And just don't leave rude comments, because that just actually says a lot about you.
Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say, is that you, sorry, like my intention, and I feel like the intention for the moms too, is to always put light out into the world.
whatever
Like,
you're doing.
be prepared for whatever you put out there. Make sure it's good. Like, unless you want to be a hater. If that's like your lot in life and you want to be a hater and be pissed off at everyone, then you're going to spread darkness, and that's going to be really crappy for the people around you. But, you know, check yourself every time you put something out on the internet or putting into your mind, is this light? Am I giving light? Am I taking the light in? And if it's not, then
Yeah, if you're
let
not
it go.
adding to the platform in a good way, then
maybe you need to check yourself.
yeah. I love this conversation. I feel like we could probably talk about it all day. And we're really interested to know how you guys feel about this topic. And if you do have kids, how are you going to give them advice about being on social media and not comparing themselves and being authentic, but not too authentic? I guess that's not a thing. Too vulnerable.
I get it.
You know, there's just so many different segues. Anyways, keep the conversation going down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys and what you think about this. And we'll see you next time on The Moms View. Thanks for watching. Bye.